Okay, today is the 1st of September, and we are on the 48th chapter of the Samyutta Nikaya, Indriya Samyutta. Yesterday I started on the sutta and I stopped, so I continue from the beginning again. Sutta 48.40. Buddha said, monks, there are these 5 faculties, Indriya, but 5. The pleasure faculty, Sukha Indriya, the pain faculty, Dukkha Indriya, the joy faculty, Somanassa, the displeasure or grief faculty, Domanassa, the equanimity faculty, Upekkha. Here monks, while a monk is dwelling diligent, ardent and resolute, there arises in him the pain faculty. Pain faculty refers to the bodily pain. He understands thus, there has arisen in me this pain faculty. That has a basis, a source, a causal formation, a condition. It is impossible for that pain faculty to arise without a basis, without a source, without a causal formation, without a condition. He understands the pain faculty. He understands the origin of the pain faculty. He understands the cessation of the pain faculty. And he understands where the arisen pain faculty ceases without remainder. And where does the arisen pain faculty cease without remainder? Here monks, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, a monk enters and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought directed and sustained, with delight and happiness born of seclusion. And it is here that the arisen pain faculty ceases without remainder. This monk is called a monk who has understood the cessation of the pain faculty. He directs his mind accordingly. Stop here for a moment. So here, this part says that the bodily pain ceases entirely when a person enters the first jhana. As I mentioned last night, when a person enters the first jhana, he is secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states. Secluded from sensual pleasures means he does not pay attention to the sense doors. He is withdrawn into his mind. And then secluded from unwholesome states means unwholesome states of mind. So because he has gone into his mind, he doesn't pay attention to his body. That's why the bodily pain ceases without remainder. Here monks, while a monk is dwelling diligent, ardent and resolute, there arises in him the displeasure or grief faculty. This displeasure or grief refers to the mental pain. He understands thus, there has arisen in me this displeasure or grief faculty. That has a basis, a source, a causal formation, a condition. It is impossible for that displeasure or grief faculty to arise without a basis, without a source, without a causal formation, without a condition. He understands the displeasure faculty. He understands the origin of the displeasure faculty. He understands the cessation of the displeasure faculty. And he understands where the arisen displeasure faculty ceases without remainder. And where does the arisen displeasure faculty cease without remainder? With the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, vitakka and vichara, the monk enters and dwells in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought directed and sustained, and has delight and happiness born of concentration. And it is here that the arisen displeasure faculty ceases without remainder. This monk is called a monk who has understood the cessation of the displeasure faculty. He directs his mind accordingly. Stop here for a moment. So here, when a monk enters the second jhana, he has internal confidence and unification of mind. and has delight and happiness born of concentration. So the mind is very delighted and very happy. That's why the any mental discomfort or pain ceases without remainder in the second jhana. And the second jhana is a state where the mind is quite strong. It's because it is strong that no thoughts can arise. The pleasure faculty. Here monks, while a monk is dwelling diligent, ardent and resolute, there arises in him the pleasure faculty. Pleasure faculty here refers to the bodily pleasure. He understands thus, there has arisen in me this pleasure faculty. That has a basis, a source, a causal formation, a condition. It is impossible for that pleasure faculty to arise without a basis, without a source, without a causal formation, without a condition. He understands the pleasure faculty, he understands the origin of the pleasure faculty, he understands the cessation of the pleasure faculty, and he understands where the arisen pleasure faculty ceases without remainder. And where does the arisen pleasure faculty cease without remainder? With the fading away as well of delight, a monk dwells equanimous and collected and clearly aware, experiences happiness with the body. He enters and dwells in the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare, he is equanimous, collected, one who dwells happily. And it is here that the arisen pleasure faculty ceases without remainder. This monk is called a monk who has understood the cessation of the pleasure faculty. He directs his mind accordingly. Here, when a monk enters the third jhana, the body pleasure faculty ceases. But you see in the description of the third jhana, it says he experiences happiness with the body. This happiness with the body is the mental happiness, not the bodily happiness. So because it is a higher state of jhana compared to the second jhana, he experiences the mental happiness, but not the coarser bodily happiness. So these two types of happiness is found in the second jhana, bodily happiness and mental happiness. But when he attains the third jhana, because he's going deeper into his mind, then the bodily pleasure ceases and he experiences only the mental happiness. Here monks, while a monk is dwelling diligent, ardent and resolute, there arises in him the joy faculty. His joy mental refers to the mental pleasure. He understands thus, there has arisen in me this joy faculty that has a basis, a source, a causal formation, a condition. It is impossible for that joy faculty to arise without a basis, without a source, without a causal formation, without a condition. He understands the joy faculty. He understands the origin of the joy faculty. He understands the cessation of the joy faculty. And he understands where the arisen joy faculty ceases without remainder. And where does the arisen joy faculty cease without remainder? With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous passing away of joy and displeasure, a monk enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, which is neither painful nor pleasant. With complete purification of sati and upekkha, with complete purification of recollection and equanimity. And it is here that the arisen joy faculty ceases without remainder. This monk is called a monk who has understood the cessation of the joy faculty. He directs his mind accordingly. So in the fourth jhana, even that mental happiness ceases because in this state of the fourth jhana, there is complete purification of sati and upekkha. That means sati and upekkha is very strong. So because of upekkha, equanimity is so strong that the joy faculty, that mental pleasure, is eliminated by the equanimity, upekkha. So in the fourth jhana, you notice here, there is complete purification of sati. You cannot have purer sati than in the fourth jhana. There's I've seen some book by some vipassana monk that says that he says there's no benefit of attaining jhana. He says because when you're in the state of jhana, there's no sati. But if you look at the description of the third jhana, it is said he enters and dwells in the third jhana, of which the Aryans declare he is equanimous, mindful or collected, one who dwells happily. This word here, mindful, the Pali word is satima. Come see, has sati. So even in the third jhana, the sati is quite pronounced. Actually, even the first and second jhana already has sati. But in the third jhana, it's quite pronounced. In the fourth jhana, it is the most pure sati, completely pure sati. The Pali word is upekkha sati parisuddhi. Parisuddhi is completely pure, or utterly pure. So the sati and the upekkha is utterly pure in the fourth jhana. That's why the joy faculty ceases. Here monks, while a monk is dwelling diligent, ardent and resolute, there arises in him the equanimity faculty. He understands thus, there has arisen in me this equanimity faculty that has a basis, a source, a causal formation, a condition. It is impossible for that equanimity faculty to arise without a basis, without a source, without a causal formation, without a condition. He understands the equanimity faculty. He understands the origin of the equanimity faculty. He understands the cessation of the equanimity faculty. And he understands where the arisen equanimity faculty ceases without remainder. And where does the arisen equanimity faculty cease without remainder? Here monks, having completely transcended the base of neither perception nor non-perception, a monk enters and dwells in the cessation of perception and feeling. And it is here that the arisen equanimity faculty ceases without remainder. This monk is called a monk who has understood the cessation of the equanimity faculty. He directs his mind accordingly. This equanimity, although it is neither painful nor pleasurable, but it is still a feeling. It is still a feeling. So, the only time when this feeling can cease is when a person enters the state of cessation, when cessation of perception and feeling. When there is cessation of perception and feeling, it means that consciousness also ceases. So in that state, there is no feeling. That's why the equanimity also ceases without remainder. The Buddha and the suttas, when the Buddha was very old, 80 years old, the body was giving him pain. The body was about to break up. So every now and then he feel very, very intense pain. So he said that he has to enter this cessation of perception and feeling. He enters this deep samadhi state where all feelings and consciousness ceases. Then he has no pain. And then when he withdraws from that state, maybe for a few hours, there's no pain. But after a few hours, probably the pain will come back again. So this sutta tells you that in the first jhana, the bodily pain ceases. In the second jhana, the mental pain ceases. In the third jhana, the bodily pleasure ceases. In the fourth jhana, the mental pleasure ceases. And in the highest, the cessation of perception and feeling, then even equanimity ceases. The next sutta is 48.41. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in the eastern part, in the mansion of Megara's mother. Megara's mother is a nickname for Visakha. Now on that occasion, the Blessed One had emerged from seclusion in the evening and was sitting warming his back in the last rays of the sun. That means the sun was setting down, was going down, and the monks came out of seclusion. And the Venerable Ananda approached the Blessed One. Having approached and paid homage, while massaging the Blessed One's limbs, he said to him, "It is wonderful, Venerable Sir. It is amazing, Venerable Sir. The Blessed One's complexion is no longer pure and bright. His limbs are all flaccid and wrinkled. His body is stooped, and some alteration is seen in his faculties, in the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, the body faculty." And the Buddha said, "So it is, Ananda. In youth, one is subject to aging. In health, one is subject to illness. While alive, one is subject to death. The complexion is no longer pure and bright. The limbs are all flaccid and wrinkled. The body is stooped, and some alteration is seen in the faculties, in the eye faculty, ear faculty, nose faculty, tongue faculty, the body faculty." This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, further said, "Fie on you, wretched aging, aging which makes beauty fade. So much has the charming puppet been crushed beneath advancing age. One who might live 100 years also has death as destination. Death spares none along the way, but comes crushing everything." That's the end of the sutta. So you see, when the Buddha was young, he used to constantly meditate and emit a lot of light. That's why his nickname was Angirasa, kinsman of the sun, relative of the sun. The sun is always so bright. But when the Buddha was old, at this time he must have been about 80 years old, then the Buddha is no longer, his complexion no longer pure and bright like before. And his limbs are all his hands and all that are wrinkled, and the skin becomes softer. Body also bent already, like a hunchback a bit, stoop. And in the eye and the ear and nose and tongue and body, all there's some change. Don't look so handsome anymore, the Buddha. So everyone is like that. When we are young, when you are very young, you look, especially like children, they look very cute, everybody. Even puppies also look very cute now when they are young. But as we grow older, we start to change. So after 40, then you know, because at the age of about 40, we have this alteration in our eye faculty. Lo Fangan. We cannot read the newspaper, small letters, to put far away. So after 40, you go downhill very fast. All the beauty will fade away and become more and more ugly looking. So even the Buddha is not spared. So if we constantly think of this, then we should quickly use our time, because as we grow older, we become weaker. You see old people, if you go to any meditation center, you see people meditating. Usually it is the old people, the heads will be bent. No strength to meditate. 48.42 at Savatthi. Then the Brahmin Unnaba approached the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When they had concluded the greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and said to the Blessed One, "Master Gotama, these 5 faculties have different domains, different resorts. They do not experience each other's resort and domain." "What 5? the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, the body faculty. Now Master Gautama, as these 5 faculties have different domains, different resorts, and do not experience each other's resort and domain, what is it that they take recourse in? This word recourse, and what is it that experiences their resort and domain? This word recourse, this translation is a translation of the Pali word Patisaranang. Patisarana, you see the last word is sarana. Just like we chant Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, so it's refuge, means a refuge, shelter. So these 5 faculties, they have different, Fanui, the resort and domain. But what is it that they take refuge in? What experiences their resort and domain? And the Buddha said, Brahmin, these 5 faculties have different domains, different resorts. They do not experience each other's resort and domain. What 5? The eye faculty, ear faculty, nose, tongue, body faculties. Now Brahmin, these 5 faculties having different domains, different resorts, not experiencing each other's resort and domain, they take refuge or shelter in the mind, and the mind experiences their resort and domain. So the mind is the one that controls all these 5. But Master Gautama, what is it that the mind takes refuge or shelter in? The mind, Brahmin, takes refuge in, here is his mindfulness, it's a specific mindfulness actually, it's recollection, sati. The mind, Brahmin, takes refuge in sati, recollection. But Master Gautama, what is it that sati or recollection takes recourse or refuge in? Recollection, Brahmin, takes refuge in liberation. But Master Gautama, what is it that liberation takes refuge in? Liberation, Brahmin, takes refuge in Nibbana. But Master Gautama, what is it that Nibbana takes refuge in, or takes shelter in? And the Buddha said, you have gone beyond the range of questioning, Brahmin. You weren't able to grasp the limit to questioning. For Brahmin, the holy life is lived with Nibbana as its ground, Nibbana as its destination, Nibbana as its final goal. Then the Brahmin, Unaba, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's statement, rose from his seat and paid homage to the Blessed One, after which he departed, keeping him on his right. Then not long after the Brahmin, Unaba, had departed, the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, Monks, suppose in a house or hall with a peaked roof, opposite a window facing east, the sun was rising. When its rays enter through the window, where would they settle? On the western wall, Venerable Sir. So too, monks, the Brahmin Unaba has gained faith in the Tathagata that is settled, deeply rooted, established, firm. It cannot be removed by any ascetic or Brahmin or Deva or Mara or Brahma or by anyone in the world. If, monks, the Brahmin Unaba were to die at this time, there is no fetter bound by which he might come again to this world. That's the end of the sutta. There's no fetter bound by which he might come again to this world. That means he won't be reborn as a human being anymore. That means he's an anagamin. Maybe he has been listening to the Buddha's teachings so that he understood the Dhamma, and probably he had the 4 jhanas. That's why the Buddha says that he is an anagamin. So here the 5 faculties, eye, ear, tongue, body and mind, they are separate from each other, but they have shelter in the mind. The mind controls all these 5. And then the mind takes shelter in sati, recollection. And sati takes shelter or refuge in liberation. And liberation takes refuge in Nibbana. The next sutta, 48.43. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Saketa in the Anjana grove, in the deer park. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, is there a method of exposition by means of which the 5 faculties become the 5 powers, and the 5 powers become the 5 faculties?" Venerable Sir, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One, guided by the Blessed One. Take recourse in the Blessed One. It would be good if the Blessed One would clear up the meaning of this statement. Having heard it from him, the monks will remember. And the Buddha said, "There is a method of exposition, monks, by means of which the 5 faculties become the 5 powers, and the 5 powers become the 5 faculties. And what is it? And what is that method of exposition? That which is the faculty of faith is the power of faith. That which is the power of faith is the faculty of faith. That which is the faculty of energy is the power of energy. That which is the power of energy is the faculty of energy. That which is the faculty of recollection is the power of recollection. That which is the power of recollection is the faculty of recollection. That which is the faculty of concentration is the power of concentration. That which is the power of concentration is the faculty of concentration. That which is the faculty of wisdom is the power of wisdom. That which is the power of wisdom is the faculty of wisdom. Suppose, monks, there is a river which slants, slopes, and inclines towards the east, with an island in the middle. There is a method of exposition by means of which that river could be considered to have 1 stream. But there is a method of exposition by means of which it could be considered to have 2 streams. And what is the method of exposition by means of which that river can be considered to have 1 stream? Taking into account the water to the east of the island and the water to its west. This is the method of exposition by means of which that river could be considered to have 1 stream. And what is the method of exposition by means of which that river could be considered to have 2 streams, taking into account the water to the north of the island and the water to the south? This is the method of exposition by means of which that river could be considered to have 2 streams. So too, monks, that which is the faculty of faith is the power of faith. And similarly, that which is the power of faith is the faculty of faith, etc. It is, monks, because he has developed and cultivated these 5 faculties that a monk, by the destruction of the asavas, in this very life enters and dwells in the taintless liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, realizing it for himself with direct knowledge. So here, the 5 faculties are exactly the 5 powers. So you can consider them actually to be one thing, just like that river. And basically it's one river, but when it comes across the island, it divides into 2. So you can consider it to be 2 separate streams or so. So here, you can consider the 5 powers and the 5 faculties actually to be the same thing, one thing only. But on the other hand, you can also consider them to be 2. I guess you see, when you say 5 powers, when you possess them, then they are powers. And they are faculties in the sense maybe that which is to be practiced, that which is to be attained. But these kind of things are a bit technical, not so important. Next sutta is 48.45. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in the eastern park, in the mansion of Megara's mother. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, by having developed and cultivated how many faculties does a monk who has destroyed the asavas declare final knowledge thus? I understand, destroyed is birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. there is no more for this state of being. And the monk said, Venerable Sir, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One, etc. And the Buddha said, it is, monks, because he has developed and cultivated one faculty that a monk who has destroyed the asavas declares final knowledge thus. What is that one faculty? The faculty of wisdom. For a noble disciple who possesses wisdom, the faith that follows from it becomes stabilized. The energy that follows from it becomes stabilized. The mind, the recollection that follows from it becomes stabilized. The concentration that follows from it becomes stabilized. It is, monks, because this one faculty has been developed and cultivated, that the monk who has destroyed the asavas declares final knowledge thus. I understand, destroyed is birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done, there is no more for this state of being. So basically, this sutta says of the five faculties, wisdom is the most important. But to attain wisdom, it must be supported by the other four faculties. The faith, the energy, the recollection and the concentration. And they grow together. When wisdom grows, the others also grow. The next sutta, quite important sutta, 48.50. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Angans, where there was a town of the Angans named Appana. There the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Sariputta thus, Sariputta, does the noble disciple who is completely dedicated to the Tathagata and has full confidence in him entertain any perplexity or doubt about the Tathagata or the Tathagata's teaching? And Venerable Sariputta said, Venerable Sir, the noble disciple who is completely dedicated to the Tathagata and has full confidence in him does not entertain any perplexity or doubt about the Tathagata or the Tathagata's teaching. It is indeed to be expected, Venerable Sir, that a noble disciple who has faith will dwell with energy aroused for the abandoning of unwholesome states and the acquisition of wholesome states, that he will be strong, firm in exertion, not shirking the responsibility of cultivating wholesome states. That energy of his, Venerable Sir, is his faculty of energy. It is indeed to be expected, Venerable Sir, that a noble disciple who has faith and whose energy is aroused will be collected. Here it says mindful, but when it says mindful, it means a specific mindfulness, not general mindfulness. Possessing supreme mindfulness and discretion, one who remembers and recollects what was done and said long ago. That mindfulness of his, or that recollection of his, Venerable Sir, is his faculty of sati. Stop here for a moment. You see, whenever the Buddha describes sati, he says, a person who has sati remembers and recollects what was done and said a long time ago. So sati has always to do with remembering to put your attention or your mindfulness in the right place, not out among the six sense doors, out of the six sense doors, but focus on four objects of sati. It is indeed to be expected, Venerable Sir, that a noble disciple who has faith, whose energy is aroused, and whose mindfulness or recollection is established, will gain concentration, will gain one-pointedness of mind, having made release the object. That concentration of his, Venerable Sir, is his faculty of concentration. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says, when a person has faith and his energy is aroused, and then he practices sati, he will gain concentration, one-pointedness of mind. And we read in an earlier sutta that this concentration or one-pointedness of mind refers to the four jhanas. Earlier we read one sutta which explained the meaning of concentration and one-pointedness of mind as the four jhanas. So when you practice sati, it must end up with the 4 jhanas. It is indeed to be expected, Venerable Sir, that a noble disciple who has faith, whose energy is aroused, whose mindfulness or recollection is established, and whose mind is concentrated, will understand thus: this samsara is without discoverable beginning. The first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving, but the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance, the mass of darkness. This is the peaceful state, this is the sublime state, that is, the stilling of all formations or conditioners, the relinquishment of all acquisitions, the destruction of craving, dispassion, cessation, nibbana. That wisdom of his, Venerable Sir, is his faculty of wisdom. So, you see from here, in this paragraph, one whose mind is concentrated will understand what needs to be understood, and he will have wisdom. That is his faculty of wisdom. In the suttas, it is mentioned like this: the condition for wisdom to arise is seeing things as they really are. Yatta bhuta jnana dassana, seeing and knowing things as they really are. And the condition for seeing things as they really are is samadhi, the jhanas. Because when you attain the jhanas, the 5 hindrances drop away. So when the 5 hindrances are eliminated, then only you can see things as they really are. Otherwise, you're like a person covered with the dark glasses. You cannot see color. And Venerable Sir, when he has again and again strived in such a way, again and again recollected in such a way, again and again concentrated his mind in such a way, again and again understood with wisdom in such a way, that noble disciple gains complete faith thus: as to these things that previously I had only heard about, now I dwell, having contacted them with the body, and having pierced them through with wisdom, I see. That faith of his, Venerable Sir, is his faculty of faith. Good Sariputta, the noble disciple who is completely dedicated to the Tathagata and has full confidence in him, does not entertain any perplexity or doubt about the Tathagata or the Tathagata's teaching. And the Buddha repeats exactly what the Venerable Sariputta said. So this sutta is saying that person who has faith, confidence in the Buddha, has no doubt about the teaching, the Dhamma. There's one sutta where I think Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha made some new rules concerning food, that he wanted the monks to eat only 1 meal a day. And there were certain monks who were not happy. They said, previously we ate three meals. It was good for us. Then later the Buddha said, you cannot eat 3 meals, I only eat 2 meals. Now the Buddha says, eat only 1 meal. And that also have to eat in the morning. He said the best meal is when people cook dinner. So he was not happy, so he refused to follow the Buddha's instructions. For the Vasa 3 months, he never saw the Buddha. And then at the end of the Vasa, other monks came to advise him, told him that very soon the Buddha is going to leave. You better go and see the Buddha and apologize to the Buddha. Otherwise you regret. So he went to see the Buddha and apologized to the Buddha. And the Buddha gave him a telling off. The Buddha said, I lay down this instruction. Just a simple thing also you cannot follow. Why? Because I notice every time when I teach the Dhamma, you're not paying attention, the Buddha said. Your attention is going here, going there, and not really paying attention. So the Buddha said, you look at the other monks, it's because they pay attention to the Dhamma, to the teaching, and they understood. They have attained Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Nanagami, Arahanthood, and all that. And these monks who have understood the teaching, If I ask them to do something difficult, also they will do. Not to say such a simple thing as this, the Buddha said. If I was walking, I see a lot of mud on the road, the Buddha said. I just asked one of the disciples to slide down in the mud for me to step over to cross. They will willingly step down the mud for me to cross. But can you do it? The Buddha said, you cannot do. Why? Because you don't have the faith, you don't have that confidence, you don't have the understanding. So you see, from here, if a person understands the Dhamma, is willing to commit himself. There are some monks who go to the forest and meditate. Some of them are eaten up by tigers, some are eaten up by pythons and all that. But they are willing to lay down their life to that extent to practice the Dhamma because they have a strong faith in the Buddha's teachings. So like the sutta says, if a person understands the Dhamma, he has confidence in the Buddha, faith in the Buddha, and there's no doubt at all. He does not entertain any doubt nor hesitation about the Buddha's teachings. So usually it's like this. Those people who find hard to do this, hard to do that, they don't have enough understanding. When they are enough understanding, then what is hard to do also they do. Hard to let go also they let go. Or those who cannot let go are those who don't understand enough. The next sutta is 48.53. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Kosambi in Gosita's park. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, Monks, is there a method by means of which a monk who is a trainee, standing on the plane of a trainee, might understand, I am a trainee, while a monk who has gone beyond training, standing on the plane of one beyond training, might understand, I am one beyond training. Stop here for a moment. This trainee, one who is training, refers to the 7 types of Arya. First path attainer, first fruit, second path, second fruit, third path, third fruit, and fourth path attainer. They are called trainees because they still have to train. They have not finished their work. They are called sekas, trainees. And then the one who is beyond training is called the aseka, who has no more work to do, no need to train anymore. And that refers to the fourth path attainer, fourth fruit attainer. The fourth fruit attainer is called the Arahant. It also refers to the Pacheka Buddha, it also refers to the Sammasambuddha. All of them are fourth fruit attainers. And they said, Venerable Sir, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One, etc. And the Buddha said, there is a method, monks, by means of which a monk who is a trainee might understand, I am a trainee, while a monk who is one beyond training might understand, I am one beyond training. And what, monks, is the method by means of which a monk who is a trainee, standing on the plane of a trainee, understands, I am a trainee? Here, monks, a monk who is a trainee understands as it really is, this is suffering. He understands as it really is, this is the origin of suffering. He understands as it really is, this is the cessation of suffering. He understands as it really is, this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is a method by means of which a monk who is a trainee, standing on the plane of a trainee, understands, I am a trainee. So here, Arya is one who understands the 4 noble truths. So for you to understand the 4 noble truths, that means you have right view. And right view, the Buddha says in the Majjhima Nikaya, in the Sutta Majjhima Nikaya 43, that there are only 2 conditions to attain right view. The voice of another person, that means another person teaching you the Dhamma, and you have careful attention, or proper attention. So all here is very clear, all Aryans understand the 4 noble truths. It's only the different degree. If you understand fully, you become an Arahant. If you understand partially, then you become one of the Aryans. Again, monks, a monk who is a trainee considers thus, is there outside here another ascetic or Brahmin who teaches a Dhamma so real, true, actual as the Blessed One does? He understands thus, there is no ascetic or Brahmin outside here who teaches a Dhamma so real, true, actual as the Blessed One does. This too is a method by means of which a monk who is a trainee, standing on the plane of a trainee, understands, I am a trainee. So here he's saying that there is no teaching outside of the Buddha Dhamma, of the original Buddha's discourses, that can compare with the Blessed One's teachings. Outside means external to the Buddha's teachings. So even later books can be considered external, because the original Buddha Dhamma is only found in the earliest Nikayas, original Pali Suttas. Again, monks, a monk who is a trainee understands the 5 spiritual faculties, the faculty of faith, energy, recollection, concentration and wisdom. He does not yet dwell, having contacted with the body, that is their destination, their culmination, their fruit, their final goal. But having pierced it with wisdom, he sees. This too is a method by means of which a monk who is a trainee, standing on the plane of a trainee, understands, I am a trainee. In other words, a trainee, an Arya who has not finished his work, he has developed the 5 faculties, but not completely developed. Partially he has developed them, partially. And what monks is the method by means of which a monk who is one beyond training, standing on the plane beyond training, understands, I am one beyond training. Here monks, a monk who is one beyond training, understands the 5 spiritual faculties, the faculty of faith, energy, recollection, concentration and wisdom. He dwells, having contacted with the body, their destination, their culmination, their fruit, their final goal, and having pierced it through with wisdom, he sees. This is a method by means of which a monk who is one beyond training, standing on the plane of one beyond training, understands, I am one beyond training. That means the Arahant, he has completely developed the 5 faculties. Again, monks, a monk who is one beyond training understands the 6 faculties, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind faculties. He understands these 6 faculties will cease completely and totally without remainder, and no other 6 faculties will arise anywhere in any way. This too is a method by means of which a monk who is one beyond training, standing on the plane of one beyond training, understands, I am one beyond training. In other words, this Arahant, he has full confidence that when he dies, he will not be reborn again. So that is way an Arya understands he is an Arya. If that Arya has not finished his work, there are 3 ways by which he understands. First one is he understands the 4 noble truths. The second one, he knows that outside the Buddha Dhamma, the original Buddha Dhamma, there is no other teaching that can compare with the original or true Dhamma. Then the third, he has developed the 5 faculties but not completely. And then the Arahant has 2 ways of knowing that he has finished his work. One is he has completely developed the 5 faculties. And secondly, he is confident that when he lays down the body, that he will not be reborn again. Okay, the last sutta I'm going to read in this Indriya Samyutta is 48.58, page 1699. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha on Mount Vulture Peak in the Boar's Cave. There the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Sariputta thus: Considering what benefit, Sariputta, does a monk whose asavas are destroyed conduct himself in a way that shows supreme honor towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching? And Venerable Sariputta said, It is, Venerable Sir, considering as benefit the unsurpassed security from bondage, that the monk whose asavas are destroyed conducts himself in a way that shows supreme honor towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is asking when a monk has attained liberation, if he shows complete reverence, complete veneration of the Buddha, it is because of what benefit. Venerable Sariputta says, Arahant who has become liberated, he shows supreme veneration for the Buddha because he has attained the benefit of unsurpassed security from bondage. That means he has destroyed the cycle of rebirth, because if you have not destroyed the cycle of rebirth, you will suffer in the round of rebirths. But this Arahant, he has been liberated from the rounds of rebirth. So because of this benefit, that he owes complete loyalty and obedience and veneration of the Buddha. And the Buddha said, good Sariputta. For Sariputta, it is considering as benefit the unsurpassed security from bondage that a monk whose asavas are destroyed conducts himself in a way that shows supreme honor towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. And what Sariputta is the unsurpassed security from bondage that a monk whose asavas are destroyed considers as the benefit when he conducts himself in a way that shows supreme honor towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. And Venerable Sariputta said, here, Venerable Sir, a monk whose asavas are destroyed develops the faculty of faith, which leads to peace, leads to enlightenment. Similarly, he develops the faculties of energy, recollection, concentration, wisdom, which leads to peace, leads to enlightenment. This, Venerable Sir, is the unsurpassed security from bondage that a monk whose asavas are destroyed considers as the benefit when he conducts himself in a way that shows supreme honor towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. In other words, Venerable Sariputta is saying that when a monk develops these 5 faculties completely, then he attains liberation. Good Sariputta. For that Sariputta is the unsurpassed security from bondage that a monk whose asavas are destroyed considers as the benefit when he conducts himself in a way that shows supreme honor towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. And what Sariputta is the supreme honor with which a monk whose asavas are destroyed conducts himself towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teachings. Here, Venerable Sir, a monk whose asavas are destroyed dwells reverential and deferential towards the teacher, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the training and concentration. This, Venerable Sir, is that supreme honor with which a monk whose asavas are destroyed conducts himself towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. Good Sariputta. For that Sariputta is the supreme honor with which a monk whose asavas are destroyed conducts himself towards the Tathagata and the Tathagata's teaching. And that's the end of the sutta. So here, the Buddha is saying that an Arahant, after he has attained liberation, he will very naturally have supreme veneration for the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the training and concentration, samadhi. But nowadays, you find there are some monks, they belittle the samadhi. If they belittle the samadhi, that shows they're probably not even an Arya, because an Arahant can have supreme veneration for the triple gem, the training and concentration. So it is natural that even an Arya would have supreme veneration for the triple gem, the training and concentration. So if a monk can belittle the jhanas, I don't think he's an Arya at all. That's the end of the Indriya Samyutta. So let me see. The next Samyutta is Sammappadhana, right efforts. Oh, there's only one sutta I want to read, so I might as well read it. So this is chapter 49, Discourses on the Four Right Efforts, Sammappadhana. And this Samyutta, there's only 54 suttas, but a lot of them have been are very similar to previous suttas, so no need to read them. So I only read one sutta. That's the first sutta, 49.1. At Savatthi, there the Blessed One said, "Monks, there are these four right efforts." What for? Here, monks, a monk generates desire for the non-arising of unarisen, evil, and wholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. He generates desire for the abandoning of arisen, evil, and wholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. He generates desire for the arising of unarisen, wholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. He generates desire for the maintenance of arisen, wholesome states, for their non-decay, increase, expansion, and fulfillment by development. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. These are the four right strivings or four right efforts. Monks, just as the river Ganges slants, slopes, and inclines towards the east, so too a monk who develops and cultivates the four right strivings or efforts slants, slopes, and inclines towards Nibbana. And how, monks, does a monk develop and cultivate the four right strivings so that he slants, slopes, and inclines towards Nibbana? Here, monks, a monk generates desire for the non-arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. Similarly, he generates desire for the abandoning of arisen, evil, and wholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. He generates desire for the arising of unarisen, wholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. He generates desire for the maintenance of arisen, wholesome states, for the non-decay, increase, expansion, and fulfillment by development. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind, and strives. These are the four right strivings or four right efforts. It is in this way, monks, that a monk develops and cultivates the four right efforts or strivings, so that he slants, slopes, and inclines towards Nibbana. That's the end of the sutta. So there are four parts of this right effort. The first two is connected with unwholesome states of mind. So if the unwholesome states of mind have not arisen, then we don't allow it to arise. And if it has already arisen, then we quickly abandon, get rid of arisen unwholesome states of mind. And then the third and the fourth concerns wholesome states of mind. If wholesome states of mind have not arisen, then we make an effort to arouse, to make wholesome states of mind arise. And if wholesome states of mind have already arisen, then we make an effort to maintain, to prolong, to increase the arisen wholesome states of mind. So if you want to practice these four right efforts, you constantly have to look into your mind, see whether your mind has wholesome states of mind or unwholesome states of mind, and you take corresponding action, you make the effort. So this is the sixth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. So it's important so that we can change our character. Without observing your mind, you cannot change your character. Now we go to the next Samyutta. Samyutta number 50, Bala Samyutta. Bala means the powers. Just now we read the Indriya, the faculties now. It's a similar thing, the Balas. 50.1, monks, there are these 5 powers. What 5? The power of faith, the power of energy, the power of recollection, sati, the power of concentration, samadhi, the power of wisdom, panya. These are the 5 powers. Monks, just as the river Ganges slants, slopes and inclines towards the east, so too a monk who develops and cultivates the 5 powers, slants, slopes and inclines towards Nibbana. And how, monks, does a monk develop and cultivate the 5 powers so that he slants, slopes and inclines towards Nibbana? Here, monks, a monk develops the power of faith, which is based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. He develops the power of energy, the power of recollection, the power of concentration, the power of wisdom, which are based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. It is in this way, monks, that a monk develops and cultivates the 5 powers so that he slants, slopes and inclines towards Nibbana. That's the end of the sutta. So these 5 powers are the same as the 5 faculties. And you notice that when you develop each of these powers, that it is based upon seclusion. Seclusion means aloofness. Aloofness from society, from people. If you want to develop the holy path, you must develop seclusion from other people so that you can go into your mind. Liberation is not found outside. Liberation is found inside here, because the Buddha says the world is inside us. The rising of the world is also inside us. The cessation of the world is also inside us. The path leading to the cessation of the world, this world of suffering, Hu Hai, is also inside us. So when it says inside us, it means in our mind. The source of the world is in consciousness, and consciousness is in our mind. So the source of the liberation is to end the flow of consciousness. And because consciousness flows from inside the mind, we have got to go to the inside of our mind to stop the flow of consciousness, which is the cause of the world. That's why you have to practice seclusion. Eventually, if you want to attain liberation. And then dispassion. Dispassion is like being tired of the world, wearied of the world. Xian liao, ya liao, yim jo, moi jo. And cessation of all our craving and all that. And then you mature in liberation. This is the only sutta that is worth reading in this chapter. So I think I'll stop here, because the next chapter is the Iddhipada, and it's quite a number of suttas to read. So we start it tomorrow. Anything to discuss?
Very constantly to our mind, and be aware of the state of our mind, whether it's wholesome or unwholesome. Are we using Yogiso Mahathera or as a Sammappadhana contemplating on the state of our mind?
Are we using Yoniso Manasikara or Satipatthana? When we look into our mind, that's using Sati, not exactly Satipatthana, but Sati. And Yoniso Manasikara means paying proper attention. Paying proper attention. And that is usually used for, like when we listen to the Dhamma, then we are supposed to have Yoniso Manasikara. So when we look into the mind, it's more of Sati. More Sati.
The other thing is the happiness, again, we read in Sutta, it's like different type of happiness in a different jhana. So I was just wondering, ketika kita yang masing-masing Nikaya, parents and me, after doing another happy for a week and
oh yes, yes. That could be for his parents, that could be carnal happiness and carnal delight. Because remember we read one sutta, I think on page 1284, you look at 1284. Yeah, 1284, talk about spiritual delight. And then before that is carnal delight, carnal rapture here. So carnal delight refers to the delight that arises because of the five chords of sensual pleasure. When the sights, sounds, smells, taste and touch give us pleasure, that delight that arises because of that is the carnal delight. Whereas the spiritual delight must enter the jhana to attain spiritual delight. So since they were not in the state of jhana, so it probably is not spiritual delight. Because spiritual delight here refers to that first jhana and second jhana. And then similarly at the bottom, you see carnal happiness and spiritual happiness. Carnal happiness also is because of the five chords of sensual pleasure, whereas spiritual happiness is because of the first, second and third jhana. And then on page 1285, that carnal equanimity is also dependent on the five chords of sensual pleasure. And spiritual equanimity refers to the fourth jhana. It's quite an important sutta. I always keep the sutta in mind.
We always have also speak about one of the things we arouse energy at the time. How do we arouse our energy?
Since we are talking about right effort, and right effort talks about wholesome and unwholesome states of mind, it means you put energy to observe the mind, whether it is having wholesome or unwholesome states of mind. And then once you recognize whether it's wholesome or unwholesome states, then you take appropriate action, either to discard the unwholesome states of mind or to develop wholesome states of mind, etc. So putting effort in that direction is energy. And there are some suttas in the Majjhima Nikaya which tells you how to get rid of these. It's called all the taints, sabba asava, sutta. Sabba is all, asava is these taints, these defilements. So that's why it's good to study more suttas. All the techniques are all given by the Buddha already, and that's why the Buddha's teaching is complete.
Just want to note that Chitta and Ananda Sammappadhana, they are both anandamini, and yet they are they make a mission to provide everything to the Dhamma, like Ananda to cook nutritious food to offer to the man. So I was just wondering that in their statement they would be very inclusive and probably meditating most of the time, but yet they are very dedicated to doing dharma. So I was thinking, okay, what kind of motivation, because I can see that it's already very advanced.
Mostly, people are all different. So you see, even the Arahants, their characters are very different. Like Ananda is a very friendly Arahant, a very friendly monk. Whereas Kassapa is very aloof and very direct. Some of his words are very piercing, they poke you. So, in the case of these Anagamins who like to do dana, I'm sure it's out of gratitude for what they have learned from the Sangha. So they want to support the Sangha as best as they can. And also because the Buddha has already stated that it is the duty of lay devotees to support the Sangha. That's why they do it. But mostly out of gratitude to the Sangha. There are some people who are so devoted to the Sangha that sometimes they buy very good things for the monks, the good things that they themselves don't use. They think it's too expensive for them to use, but sometimes they go out their way to buy for monks. It's out of devotion. People can only do this when they understand the Dhamma. When they understand the Dhamma, then they do more than what is normally done by most people. In fact, in the monks' Vinaya, the monks' precepts, the Buddha said there are some stream enterers, people who have just entered the stream because of understanding the Dhamma, and they have become an Arya, and they have so much faith for the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha that they do dana more than they can afford, because some of these devotees, they are not rich, but they give more than they can afford, so much so that their family suffers. And in the monks' Vinaya, the Buddha said, if a monk knows that such a family is like that, I think the word he uses initiates. People have been recently initiated into the Buddhist religion, and they have full faith and confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, so that they do dana offerings beyond their capacity. And then the Buddha said, the monk, if you know there's such a family, you should not go there, because you go there, it make it difficult for them. Which reminds me, many years ago, 20 over years ago, when I was a new monk, and I was in Thailand. So I went on this, what they call, Tudong, forest trekking with one Thai monk. So this Thai monk, at that time I was about 38 years old and he was 45 years old. And he was very fit. And he brought me to a cave, We walked a long way from somewhere, Pratburi, and down to Padang Besar. So he brought me to a cave beside a stream. The stream, the river was muddy river. When you want to make tea, you want to drink water, you have to collect the muddy water and boil it. And then nearby, there were only three houses, three Buddhist houses. And Padang Besar area, all the people are very poor. And the other houses are Muslim. So the only three houses will support us. So he had stayed there for, I think, 2 years previously. So he encouraged me to stay alone there. He was about to leave. He asked me to stay there. But I thought, these people are so poor. If I stay there, it will be a burden on them. So I didn't stay there. So it's like this. And I thought about these people who give beyond their means. Okay, shall we end here?